Welcome back. Today, we're jumping into a really high-stakes question, one that leaders have to face in pretty much every crisis you can imagine. We're talking about making massive decisions without certainty. Seriously, just think about that for a second. Put yourself in those shoes. A crisis is exploding. Everyone's looking at you for answers. But the information you have, it's patchy. It's incomplete. It's changing literally by the minute. So what do you do? Well, this is the reality for experts in the first few days of any emergency. It's this period of just intense pressure and confusion, where every single choice you make could have enormous consequences. There's actually a name for this. Experts call it the fog of war. Yeah, it's a term they borrowed from the military. And honestly, it's the perfect way to describe the chaos of trying to make life or death calls when you can't even see the whole picture. You have to move, but you're basically moving in the dark. And the main enemy you're fighting in that fog is incomplete data. Now, this isn't just about a few missing numbers here and there. We're talking about huge gaps, cases of a disease that never get reported, major delays in getting test results back, or just not knowing how a new threat is spreading. It turns out the information you don't have is often the most dangerous part. Okay, so if the data is basically a block of Swiss cheese full of holes, how do experts even start to make sense of it all? Well, it turns out they have a whole set of specialized tools designed for exactly this kind of problem. This is what they call the Epidemiologists' Toolkit. Now, don't worry about the fancy names. What they do is what's cool. Think of multiple imputation as making several different educated guesses to fill in the missing pieces. Complete case analysis is way simpler. It's like saying, let's just focus on the cases where we have all the info. Weighting methods, that's about adjusting the numbers to make sure smaller, underrepresented groups get counted fairly. Descriptive epidemiology is all about mapping out what you do know for sure. And sensitivity analysis, that's basically stress testing your own work to see if your conclusions still hold up under different assumptions. The big thing to remember here is that these aren't just random stabs in the dark. They are really sophisticated, mathematical ways of peering through that fog. They let experts build the most reliable picture they can from, just the fragments they have to work with. But here's the thing. Having all the right tools is only half the battle. The other, maybe even bigger half, is knowing when it's time to act. And this brings us to a huge debate in the world of public health. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've analyzed your messy, incomplete data. You've run the models. But is it enough? When do you finally pull the trigger on a decision that's going to affect millions of people? This is where two competing philosophies really go head-to-head. On one side, you've got the precautionary principle. This basically says if there's a credible threat of serious harm, you act to stop it, even if you don't have perfect proof yet. On the other side, you have evidence thresholds. This is the idea that you've got to wait for a certain high level of scientific proof before you take major action. It's the classic better safe than sorry versus look before you leap. And that tension, that whole debate, it's not just some academic exercise. In a crisis that's moving at lightning speed, the choice between these two ideas has very, very real costs. I mean, here's the hard truth. In an outbreak, the virus doesn't just pause and wait for you to finish your spreadsheets. The threat doesn't take a coffee break while you gather more evidence. Waiting for 100% certainty, that can be a catastrophic mistake. And this chart really just lays it all out, doesn't it? The bar on the left, that shows what can happen when you act early, based on the incomplete but good enough information you have. The bar on the right shows what happens when you wait for perfect certainty. And that gap between them, that isn't just a number. In a real crisis, that gap is people, it's families, it's lives. So, where does all of this leave us? It actually brings us to a really crucial way of thinking about what the real goal is when you're in a crisis. I want you to just let that one sink in for a minute. We tend to think of uncertainty as a flaw, as a problem that needs to be fixed. But in crisis management, uncertainty is the environment. The ability to make the best possible call with the limited information you have, that is the skill. It's the whole point. So you see, the goal was never to get to this magical place of perfect knowledge before making a move. The real goal is to build systems and train people who can navigate that fog with courage, with skill, and with every single tool they have to find the safest way forward. And that kind of leaves us with one final question to think about. After looking at all of this, what do you think is the greater risk? Is it the potential downsides of acting early with imperfect data, or is it the guaranteed consequences of waiting too long for a certainty that may never come? Hey, if this explainer helped you make sense of this tough topic, do me a favor and hit that like button. And of course, subscribe for more deep dives like this one. And if you're someone who likes to listen on the go, we've got you covered. The audio version is up on Apple Podcasts. You'll find the link for that right down in the description. Finally, we really do love hearing from you. What's that big, complex topic you want us to tackle next? Drop your ideas in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching.